On this episode of The Boss Lady,
Didn't make sense that there was a lot of poverty on this continent, and why is that? And growing up, seeing things in the movies, people having this great life.
18 years old in a foreign land and 4 degrees later, Gaitha becomes one to focus on.
I love money, and I like when people have money because we're all happy when we have money.
Later,
In that cohort, it was very hard to get into that program, and for me, actually getting into that program was amazing. This is Gaitha, the founder and CEO of the Regal Africa Group. We are a diversified financial service firm offering financial advisory services here in East Africa, where we help our clients to create wealth. This is the Boss Lady.
they say building wealth is governed by a standard universal framework. There are 9 words which describe the entire process. Use your surplus income to purchase income-generating assets. Today's Boss Lady tells you this and much more. Gaitha was born and raised in Nairobi. She attended Nairobi Primary and later went to St. George's Secondary School here in the city. She comes from a Christian background from a family of 4 and was taught from way back to do the very best and aspire to be the very best. She thought of herself as an average student even though she graduated her secondary school and passed with an A in mathematics. Needless to say, this catapulted her into the financial services world. After secondary school, at the age of 18, she went to the States and joined a Santa Monica college where her older sister also was schooling. She wanted to transition to UCLA, thus the University of California, Los Angeles, but sadly, that dream did not materialize after she realized they did not offer an undergraduate degree in business management, so she ended up pursuing finance, real estate, law, and international business. She has over 20 years of professional experience, with 15 years cumulative experience in the financial service industry, both national and international, and now, currently is the founder and CEO of the Regal Africa Group, a diversified financial services company. But where did it all start from? Up until the 1880s, bank employees were exclusively male. The creation of new administrative departments, never in direct contact with customers, coincided with the fast hiring of women in the major financial establishments. Contrary to common belief, women were being taken on to work in banking before the First World War. This was part of a wider movement that saw the feminization of clerical work, with the fairer sex often deemed more competent or conscientious and sometimes even more honest. Women seemed perfect for the jobs that were primarily created at the head offices of the large banks. They worked under the scrutiny of a senior employee who was also a woman, since women had no contact with customers or with their male colleagues. In certain banks, they entered the building through a special entry, and in all the establishments where they were employed, they worked and took their meals in separate rooms. In 1909, women, often young and educated from the middle classes who needed to work, represented 1/10 of the main staff at the Credit Foncier. In 1914, they accounted for almost 25% of the total Parisian staff at the CNEP, 700 out of 3,000. However, these figures hide a disparity in status. Women were paid lower salaries than their male counterparts and had far less job security. They could be paid and dismissed without notice. Their status was often only that of an auxiliary, and it took them far longer than men to obtain a permanent status. Globally, currently, women's labor force participation rate is 48.5%, and according to Bloomberg data, in the overall financial services industry, 12% of corporate board members are women. Women are present in all areas of banking activity. The world is keen to promote gender equality in all areas of the workplace, and no doubt, Anne came as far as she did. Back to Anne. She welcomes me into her office, but before we get to the interview, here are a few things you need to know about Anne Gaitha. I can tell you're busy at work, so let's pull you away from work and I can get your attention for just a couple of minutes.
That would be great.
That would be great.
Yes.
All right. Why did you do what you did?
Okay.
Those are 4 different courses.
Yes, but they all are connected. It's exactly what I do right now as a financial advisor. I take advantage of my education. And the reason I took that course was different things. Growing up, I wanted to be an accountant like my dad. Then I grew up, I decided I want to be a lawyer. But then when I got the opportunity to go to the States, I realized that the American law was different from the Kenyan law. And so I was in this place where I want to study business and finance, but I also want to be a lawyer. So when I came across this course, which was at the California State University of Long Beach, which actually blended everything that I wanted to do, which is finance and law. And then being Kenyan, I had to study real estate. So it was just a perfect combination. And at that time, I realized I really wanted to be in business. I really wanted to be in financial services. And really banking was going to be what I'm going to do, especially investment banking. So that's what I did. And as I continued with my education, I realized being in the States, they didn't know much about Africa. And so I also wanted to study more about what happens globally in business. And so that's why mine are now in international business. Yeah.
And that's just fine. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I have 1 degree, but worry not. So you, after your education, you still, how many years did it take you to complete all your studies? Like the different 4 degrees that you've mentioned. How many years did they take?
Wow. Let's just say I went to college in 1998 and I got my final degree at that time, my undergrad in 2004. So you can calculate that.
It's fine.
Yes.
6 years. Yes, it's not less than 6 years. Anyway, so you end up getting your degree. Were you working as you were attending your classes, or you had to finish everything before now you get into the journey of employment?
Let's just say you're an 18, 19, 20-year-old child in the United States with no parents, with no one to take care of you, take care of yourself, which means you have to work.
Oh, sorry.
You have to work. You have to work, right?
Yeah.
And you do whatever needs to be done to do that, because you have to pay for your own tuition, you have to pay for your housing, your clothing. You're responsible for you. So it doesn't matter how many jobs you do them because you have to go to school.
When did you get your first gig, your first important gig after university?
After university, I was hired by Bank of America. I went into the management training course, which was an amazing opportunity, actually, because I was the only black woman in that cohort, right? The only one from a California State University in that cohort. It was very hard to get into that program, and for me, actually getting into that program was amazing. And those things where I pat myself in the back and say, you know what, you did it, girl, you did it.
And after the training, you just joined them automatically?
Yes.
So how was the experience working for Bank of America?
The experience was great. The experience was great because I found myself in Los Angeles working for Bank of America and really working with very interesting clientele, because this is the wealthy of the wealthy, right? Yeah. And actually that's when I learned that how wealthy people keep their money and how the rest of us who are not informed lose our money. So it was a really good experience for me, really understanding the philosophy and the psychology behind money and the psychology behind business and how wealth is created and how you create generational wealth. And from that, I just said, you know what, this experience is amazing. I need to also come back home and show people how to create generational wealth.
How long were you at the Bank of America for?
I was there for 7+ years.
7+ years?
Yeah.
And even as you left, that was your last employer?
Yes, that was my last employer, and I then resigned so that I can go do my MBA in San Francisco.
And came back home?
And then came back home.
Why?
Why? Oh, wow. I used to have a very straight answer when I first came home, but the truth is this, I always knew I was going to come home. I always knew. At 18, I'm a planner, so I had a 15-year plan, and I came back home in 15 years. I always knew I wanted to come back home and be part of Africa economic development. It just didn't make sense that there was a lot of poverty on this continent, and why is that? And, you know, growing up, seeing things in the movies, people having this great life. I mean, I had a good life, but, you know, you always want more. And then actually going there, it solidified when I learned the things that I learned going through school and my career in banking. I knew that I could come back and find the right people that I could work with to actualize Africa Rising.